Irish guy, and I get things wrong. I mean, surely that's not a shock. I get things wrong every day. For example, this morning, I decided to pour a bowl of Special K and assumed it would taste good. It was like nibbling wet cardboard. But today, I'm gonna take a look at every Premier League club and find the biggest thing that I was wrong about your team this season. And lads, there's been some shockers. Right, let's go. Arsenal, Gabriel Jesus will challenge for the Golden Boot. Okay, I'm not actually embarrassed by this one, okay? Because I know I'm not the only one. There's gonna be some shockers in this list, yes, but oh no. This is not the equivalent to me admitting that I brush my teeth with cow saliva. No, I'm not out here telling you all that I secretly watch Beauty and the Beast and the Nude. No, everyone thought that Gabriel Jesus would eat Arsenal goals with a fork. Pre-season always gives off clues. I mean, is it any surprise what's happened to Liverpool this season, considering last July they mostly defended like a bunch of constipated lemurs at the zoo? And lads, Jesus banging in 7 goals in pre-season, including a hat-trick against Sevilla. If you told me in August that actually he's going to be outscored by Harvey Barnes, I'd have probably thought there was more chance of me one day biting off a chunk of the moon. But yeah, I know he's had a knee injury that's made him miss 2 months. But before that, 5 goals in 20 games. He actually went 10 matches without a goal. So yeah, I was wrong. Aston Villa, Diego Carlos will be best centre back outside top 6. When Aston Villa bought Diego Carlos from Sevilla, I was blown away. This was the centre half that Eddie Howe was obsessed with buying for Newcastle. I mean, Lille's Sven Botman was his plan B. So yeah, despite the fact he's nearly 30, I thought Carlos was going to be special. And yeah, the best centre back outside the top 6. Instead, he got injured early doors, has only played twice, while Botman, again, plan B Botman, has played 21 Premier League games and only lost once. I'm not judging Carlos because he is injured. But yeah, I thought it'd be a world-class debut season. But instead, it couldn't have gone worse. Bournemouth, Dominic Solanke will score goals. I thought Bournemouth would be better than this. Listen, I said Bournemouth would finish 17th, and they are currently 17th, so surely I'm back on the money, right? Now, this is a false position. I don't know how they're 17th when they've only scored 3 goals since the World Cup. But the biggest error, although Dominic Solanke had finally come good. Sure, maybe Chelsea and Liverpool came too soon for him. And yes, he failed at Bournemouth under Eddie Howe, but I mean, he's since scored 45 goals in 2 seasons for the club. Surely he'd rebuild his confidence in the Championship and now would return to score maybe 10 to 15 goals in the top flight. After all, he was an England youth level goal machine. Surely at 25 he was now a matured Premier League quality centre forward. No, 3 goals. Stuck on 3 goals, which is exactly the same pitiful number he managed the last time Bournemouth were in the Premier League. This is a former Chelsea and Liverpool employee, and this is a guy who was chosen ahead of Danny Ings for a Champions League final squad. And yet this season, yet again, about as dangerous as a fat snowman, Brentford will finish bottom of the league. Okay, well this was all sorts of lunacy. This is the season where Brentford were supposed to be eaten alive by second season syndrome. Does nobody understand that that's an actually credible football disease? It would be a bit like me predicting you to stand outside in the snow for 7 hours and to then get a cold. Yeah, it doesn't matter how many hot chocolates you shove down your throat, you're going to be sneezing for a month. And Brentford, just like Christian Eriksen, peeled out of their team. Does nobody remember that until he joined halfway through last season, they'd actually just picked up 1 point from 8 games. Thomas Frank coasted through last season on vibes. Well, and let's be honest, he is a guy who used to just make coffee for Dean Smith. His tactics should have been chewed up like a sour beef burger this season. But now instead, they're challenging for Europe. I said bottom of the league, and instead they've beaten Man City, Liverpool, and we're 4-0 up against Man United after half an hour. I mean, surely the worst prediction in the list. Brighton, Graham Potter's next job will be in the Championship. I thought Brighton would be relegated too, and that Graham Potter will be sacked before the season is out. Go back to last summer, and I thought this entire Brighton project would crumble like a melting wedding cake. I genuinely believed last July that Potter's next job would be in the Championship, somewhere like Birmingham or West Brom. Instead, the man was given a 5-year contract at Chelsea by mid-September, proving that Todd Bowley is just brainwashed by English hype. Chelsea, Conor Gallagher would never play. Remember throughout all of last season, people were tipping the informed Conor Gallagher to return to Chelsea after his loan spell at Crystal Palace. Thomas Tuchel was even saying how excited he was to work with Gallagher again. Yeah, I mean, I thought that was about as credible as Jackmate's teeth. It was a lie. a pure blatant lie. If Gallagher returned to Chelsea, the man would be stuffed in a cardboard box and shoved in the attic for 10 months, right? He had more chance of forming a boy band and winning the X Factor than he had of getting any Chelsea minutes, right? This is a club who just ignore their players out on loan. Kevin De Bruyne was only ever given 9 games in a Chelsea shirt. They quickly decided he was just a Belgian Ron Weasley, someone about as exciting as moldy banana bread. So surely, what chance did Gallagher have, right? Instead, he's played nearly 30 times. The guy's got over 1,000 minutes under his belt. This is a club who poured 600 million euros into transfers this season. And yet this grubby little furball is actually regularly getting in the team. I thought he was just the English Billy Gilmore. I thought for this season, choosing to stay at Chelsea would have been like me agreeing to spend 9 months living out of a public toilet in Peru. But fair play, Connor, you proved me wrong. Crystal Palace would be exciting to watch. Wilfred Zaha, Ebereki Eze, Michael Olise. I thought Crystal Palace this season would be fun to watch. Under Patrick Vieira, there'd be creativity, silky skills, absolute wonder goals. That Palace would be the ultimate mid-table entertainers. Maybe even go on another cup run. Yeah, they've only won 6 games this season and none since December. They also got booted out of both domestic cups in the 3rd round. They've scored 21 goals in 23 league games. Leeds have scored more than that. And they're second bottom of the league. Everton, Dele Alli will come good. Well, this was just naive. This one, I'm embarrassed to admit. Yeah, I mean, this is a bit like admitting that I still listen to Nickelback or that I drink Katsik for tea. But I always thought Dele Alli would come good again. I refuse to believe he was done. That's why I stuck him in my fantasy football team when Nuno Santo was in charge of Spurs. He scored a penalty against Wolves. And that's it. But last season, sure, Frank Lampard had to leave him on the bench just to prioritise survival. But this season, Lampard is the guy who once said that Ali, at his age, was better than him. Lampard is the guy who made Mason Mount. So surely he'd want to find a way to work England's former boy wonder into his Everton team. Nah, instead, he's been loaned out of Besiktas at 26, where he's been an underwhelming banana sandwich. Fulham, Willian would flop. Yeah, this is pretty simple. I thought that Willian, a man chased out of Chelsea, Arsenal, and then Brazil, would now just be a semi-retired lump of snot. This is actually the sort of transfer that QPR would have made about 10 years ago. Lads, I was tricked by all of their big name monster signings back then. I mean, buying big names like Park Ji-sung, Josie Masinga, Julio Cesar, Yossi Benayoun, Rio Ferdinand, these all had a whiff of Willian, a pasted big name, searching for one last comfy payday in London so he can just stock up on 7 pizzas a day. But no, to be fair, he's been incredible. So fair play, Willian. I got you all wrong. Leeds, Wilfred Gnonto will be rubbish. I think this Leeds season has shaped up pretty nicely for me. I thought they'd get relegated with Jesse Marsh sacked. So, yeah. Where I did get it wrong though was, I didn't think Wilfred Gnonto would be any good. This guy was an unproven 18-year-old boy bought from the Swiss league. He was just some unknown Italian child who this season had scored 1 goal in 12 games for FC Zurich. I know he hasn't exactly been smashing in the goals at least this season, but he's still been an absolute superstar. He's arguably the most dangerous footballer. The dribbling, the link-up play, the arrogance and swagger on the ball. Yeah. He's been good. Leicester, Danny Ward would be one of the worst ever goalkeepers. Yeah, I thought Danny Ward would be one of the worst ever Premier League #1s of all time. I thought Leicester agreeing to sell Kasper Schmeichel for £1 million and refusing to replace him, which is the height of negligence. If you've been like midway through a 9-hour flight to Chile, choosing to chuck your pilot out the window and just letting some unprepared work experience kid take the wheel and yeah, have fun flying into a tree. Danny Ward is a guy who could dislodge goalkeeping meat muffins like Simon Mignolet, Loris Karius, or even Adam Bogdan at Liverpool. He's a former Wrexham, Tamworth, Morecambe and Aberdeen goalkeeper who wasn't even Wales #1. The man is nearly 30 years old and before this season only ever played 3 Premier League games, 0 clean sheets. So I thought this season he would be a national embarrassment. And to be fair, he did have a nightmare start. Bottom of the league in September on 1 point, and he'd already lost 4-2, 5-2 and 6-2. But surely the natural evolution would be losing 7-2, 8-2, 9-2. No! Since then, he's kept 7 clean sheets, and he's actually looked okay. There's been no major howlers. I thought for sure he'd been dropped by November for either Daniel Iverson or Alex Smithies before the club would go out and buy a proper goalie in January. But to be fair, for an unproven goalie who looks a bit like a fat Lego toy, he's actually done all right. Liverpool would win the league. Yeah, I thought Liverpool would win the Premier League. They're now 8th. This is surely the worst prediction I've ever made. Surely. But I'm sorry, last season they were supposed to be back. This a club who were just 2 games away from winning the quadruple. They reached the final of every competition. They cleaned up with 92 points in the league. Lads, that's 2 more points than the Arsenal Invincibles. Me predicting a team like that to go on and win the league the next season, it's not laughable. It's not like I just predicted George Clooney to give birth to twins. This should have been a normal, sensible prediction. But no, you've been awful. Lads, this is a club who were nearly knocked out of the League Cup by Derby County at home. This has been a nightmare season, and I actually suggested you finish top. Oh no, Man City, nothing. Nothing. I don't think I got anything wrong about Man City. Everything that's happened, I expected. Next, Man United, Casemiro would flop. Okay, shout out to one prediction where I thought that Cristiano Ronaldo would once again challenge for the Golden Boot. Yeah, no, his probably goal tally for the season is 1. Danny Ings has scored 6 times as many goals as Ronaldo this year. That is a sentence which just should not compute in my brain. But no, my biggest mistake, I thought Casemiro would be a moneybags flop. Yes, he was an absolute rock star at Real Madrid, but he's a 31-year-old on a 4-year contract worth nearly £400,000 a week. He'll be earning stupid money at 34. I assumed he'd be like Bastian Schweinsteiger, a big superstar name, but now rotting like an expensive meatball on the Old Trafford bench.
Oh, Irish guy, but Casemiro just won the Champions League. You absolute cheese donut of a man.
Yeah, sure. Schweinsteiger joined Manchester United a year after winning the World Cup. He played 90 minutes in a 7-1 win over Brazil. It was just 2 years after he lifted the treble with Bayern Munich. Yeah, he still turned up at Old Trafford and wheezed about like an unfit Teletubby. I thought Casemiro was just another over-the-hill South American superstar just here for the payday. But to be fair, he's actually been class and probably Manchester United's most aggressive midfielder since Roy Keane. Newcastle, Sean Longstaff will be sold. Yeah, forget the rocket power form of Miggy Almiron. My biggest surprise this season is seeing Sean Longstaff do well. I was convinced after the club had already exiled one Longstaff, with poor old Matty now 22 and just a Colchester on loan, I assumed the entire Longstaff family was soon to be culled. I mean, last summer, the uninspiring Sean was surely going to be sold to Southampton or Everton for 8 million quid. I'm convinced if Benitez had not been sacked by Everton a year ago, oh, that guy would have bought Longstaff in the summer. Without a shadow of a doubt. Instead, he's played more games this season than any Newcastle player. He's played every single match in every competition. But what's even weirder is that he's only lost 3 times. We're nearly in March here. He's played the full 90 minutes 24 times this season. He hasn't missed a single minute of Premier League football since the 17th of September. I'm sorry, but for a guy who under Steve Bruce looked like a bang average pint of vanilla ice cream, to be a midfield ever present for a team who went on a 17-game unbeaten run, to also be the guy who scores 2 goals in a cup semi-final, when under Bruce he was about as clinical as a dehydrated sheep. Honestly, Sean, well done. Maybe he would have been a good signing for Man United after all. Nottingham Forest and Morgan Gibbs-White will flop. Yeah, I remember at the start of the season being convinced that Morgan Gibbs-White would fail. The guy was another overpriced English meatball. Wow, 40 million quid from Wolves? I thought this was absolute money madness. He'd never live up to that price tag, but he has. At 23 years old, he's been Nottingham Forest's best player. The guy's been so good, he actually deserves an England cap. Southampton kids would succeed. I thought Southampton would have a good season. I thought this was going to be a year where they're exciting youth players they bought from Man City who would absolutely rip it up. I was expecting a season of greatness from Gavin Bazanu, Romeo Lavia, Juan Larios and Simon Edozie. I thought Bazanu would stuff his face with clean sheets. I did not expect them to be rooted bottom of the league in February. Southampton have produced brilliant youth players themselves, like Theo Walker, Gareth Bale, Luke Shaw, Alan Lallana, James Ward-Prowse. But they're like that family who treats their own kids well and gets them the best Christmas presents. But I mean, when the neighbors' children come over for sleepovers, they just get fed gruel and are told to sleep in the fireplace. These new city boys have not been very good, especially like Bazunu and Lavia. It's been a bit disappointing. Tottenham, Jed Spence would be breakout England star. I was pretty on the money with Spurs. I knew they'd have a rocky season. I said they'd finish 7th. I also knew that both Richarlison and Yves Bissouma would flop. I'm actually trying to find something about Spurs that I got wrong. There isn't much. I put Jed Spence in my fantasy football team in August, so I guess I thought he'd be a devastating Tottenham right wing back who might crack into England's World Cup squad, and instead he's nearly 23 and stuffed on a loan at Rennes. So I guess I got that one wrong. West Ham, Lucas Paqueta would have a Bruno effect. Bruno Guimaraes and Lucas Paqueta are supposed to be Brazilian twins. These are 2 incredible ball-playing Brazilian playmakers who are in the same league on the field. Paqueta is the one who actually gets more starts for Brazil. Well, Bruno Guimaraes signs for Newcastle for £40 million and completely transforms the team, turning them from an unfit Steve Bruce car crash into one of England's formed teams. Paqueta also gets a £40 million move to to West Ham, a team who nearly reached the European final in May. But does he have a similar impact? He's won 3 of his 15 league games. That's 1/5. I remember when I first saw this man in a West Ham shirt being interviewed by one of the sidemen. I thought this was West Ham's biggest transfer coup since they bought Carlos Tevez nearly 20 years ago. But now, is that all the impact of boiled broccoli soup? Wolves, Bruno Lage would still be on a job. Yeah, I thought Bruno Lage was a good coach. I didn't expect him to be sacked in October. Just... what? Anyway, that's what. Let me know. What did you get wrong? Let me know in the comments. What did you actually get wrong this season? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe. As always, I'll talk to you in a while.